All right, good evening and welcome to the Capital Improvement and Planning Committee meeting. It is Monday, November 3rd, 2025. It is 7:34 p.m. and all members are present. Great to see everyone. First item of business is the meeting minutes. There are two sets of meeting minutes that Mike thankfully drafted for us. Uh, Before I offer any of my comments, I wanted to see if anyone had questions on their own.
Just to note, they did need a second set of revisions. There was two or three lines that I didn't fully vet out. I highlighted them yellow, or there's XX's where it just was missing information. That's probably one thing we would need to clean up before they're fully approved.
Okay, so let's do this tonight. Let's discuss if anyone has changes, you'll be able to take them back and then we can approve them. Given we're meeting pretty regularly, we can just approve them all at the next meeting.
Okay.
So did anyone have any comments for Mike? Other than thank you.
Thank you. I did have that one.
Mine are more procedural. Mike and I will send you a red line after, but just for sake of open meeting law, I figured I would just list them out here.
Yeah.
The first is we have to list all members, all appointed members, and whether absent or present. So we don't have a listing of the absent members. We also have to list our ex officio members as well. So that's Mark and Brian from the town side and whether they were there or not. And then we have to also denote who was chairing the meeting. So the simplest way to do that is like if I was chairing the meeting, just put in parentheses next to my name, chair. Those are all open meeting law requirements by the state. That's not the town or anyone else making those up. The only other item that we have to do is we have to list out all documents that were referenced during the meeting. So usually what we would do is just summarize everything that was in the folder. And then to the extent that a department head, so use the schools as an example, to the extent that they put something on the screen during the meeting that we didn't have access to beforehand, we would just list that out too. It's just very shorthand school, like in that example, Southborough Public Schools capital plan. Tonight we'll have Recreation Department capital plan dated this date sort of thing. And that just goes at the bottom of the email as well.
Okay, perfect. Thank
But
you.
I'll get you all that. Did anyone have anything else? Okay.
Yeah.
With that, I will go right to recreation. So they're going to do their 10-year capital plan. So let me bring Travis over. And Kristen. Good evening.
Hi.
Good
How is
evening.
everyone?
No complaints.
Thank you for joining us. Travis, I'm going to make you co-host just in case you want to present anything as we go through here.
Great. Thank you.
And then procedurally, before we do this, and I gave Travis heads up on this, given that I am the president of Algonquin baseball and softball, to the extent we talk about any
He froze.
Yeah, cut out there.
He's still frozen.
I'm having Wi-Fi problems all day.
did I cut out?
You did.
Yes.
You did.
Okay. All right. Sorry. So I'll just repeat what I said. Because I am the president of Algonquin Baseball and Softball, which represents both Southborough and Northborough from a baseball and softball perspective, to the extent we talk about any field related that they use, I'm going to recuse myself. So what I thought we would do is just, Travis, if you and Kristen want to give an overview and maybe even introduce yourself, given we have a few new members of each of your roles and who you represent. Of the broader capital plan, and then we'll save anything baseball, softball related to the end. I'll go off, hand it to Mike, and then come back when you're done with that piece, if that works. And sorry for the gymnastics around all of that.
It's okay. No sweat.
So I'll let you both introduce yourself and then just kind of give us an overview of what Rec has been discussing and current priorities, and then go from there.
Great. Kristen, do you want to kick it off or do you want me to start?
I'll introduce myself quickly. You've got the main show here. I'm Kristen Laval. I'm current chair of the Rec Commission. I've been involved with Rec since I moved back. I actually grew up here, so I moved back to town about 13 or 14 years ago. Everyone's like, "Oh, join Rec. It's easy." But and after a few years where we did not have a capital plan and we had to get that all together, it has gotten a lot easier, especially because we have some great directors, Travis being our current. We've been fortunate to have Tim Davis before him. So I have a couple kids in high school, so I might, be passing the baton at some point in the near future, but we're pretty excited. Like again, most of the time when I started with Rec, we did not have a capital plan. So we've come a very long way in terms of field improvements and the track and projects. And we have a lot of fun things planned cool things planned for the future. But we have had to move some things around, and Travis will get, into that in more detail.
Yeah, thank you. I'm Travis Farley. I've got big shoes to fill. I'm filling in for replacing Tim Davis, who moved to Brookline. I'm the new Park and Rec director. Been here for a little bit over a year and a half. We have a really great commission. They've been working really hard with Tim over the last 5 to 7 years. They were definitely completed a lot of tasks on the capital punch list, field related, park related, playground related. We're in a decent position, but there's still some good work to be done. And we're kind of getting some feedback. We've like Kristen said, we've tweaked a few things with NERI. The future of NERI being a little bit of an unknown right now, so we've had to tweak a few things. But I think we've got a really great capital outlay plan before you, which I can share if that's okay. Just give me 1 second. I'll just do the whole screen. Can everybody see that okay?
Coming through.
It says you're sharing, but it's probably on a delay. It says, there you go. But you got a picture of me. Yeah, but
I do.
you've got
All right.
me, on it too.
If
If you get me out of there, you're good.
All right, let's try that again. Let's go with the window. I don't know why this isn't going through. Can everybody see this now?
Yep.
That's good.
Can everybody see that?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, I don't know why that was weird. So we made a minor tweak, but I'll talk about that a little bit later. So we just going through this real quick, and I know it's a pretty large document, so I'll just kind of go through the categories real quick. We broke it up into like 3 or 4 different categories. We have playgrounds, which the main playgrounds that we are, and I'll go all the way up. My apologies. The 3 playgrounds that we're responsible for in town that are outside of the school purview is South Union, so the playground that's at 21 Highland. We have the Fayetteville playground, and then obviously in town, and then we have Town Hall playground, which is the small playground right behind Town Hall. We are involved with Woodward a little bit because that's kind of our summer camp hub, but that's not reflected in our capital plan. We have some facilities in town that we help manage. We help with, like I said, the Woodward playground. It is actually reflected. The Trotter track resurfacing project, which we did a couple of years ago, in the Finn playground. We have some town courts in town. The Moody's tennis courts, Moody's tennis court and pickleball courts at Finn School. We did a feasibility. We put it in for a design and replacement a little bit further down, and then we have the Richardson tennis courts, which are actually the tennis courts right near NERI. And then we have some field and repair maintenance categories that we have. I'm happy to talk about each project individually, even the ones that are a little further down if you want, or it can shift to more short-term goals if you guys like. Jason, how you guys want to talk about the more short-term projects and then go into long-term?
Is the only one that impacts baseball the NERI and the Fayetteville?
Yes.
All right, so why don't you talk about everything else, and then we'll do those at the end, if that works for you.
Yeah.
Realizing that one is short-term based on how you've done this.
Correct. Kristen, do you have anything else you want to add in that kind of like a general overview of everything? I know it's a lot, but
No, just in case, I'm not sure, how long folks have been around, but most of we over the last several years, we've done a lot of work to bring our fields kind of back up to the standard that they should be at. We learned through a facility study years ago, we really had never been properly taking care of our fields. They were built kind of in a hurry, I believe, around the 80s when we had a population boom, and then so maybe not done 100% correctly then, and then we never rested them. Just, I think DPW did whatever they could, but as far as rec goes, we didn't have a plan for resting them and doing proper maintenance cycles. We're on that maintenance cycle now. There's a couple fields left to do, which Travis will talk about, but anytime you see, for example, some costs at Calander or maybe down the road at DePetrie, the track, those are now we're in a regular maintenance cycle. So those costs come down because now we're just keeping what we have, repairing it on a standard schedule. We were never there before. So what we have left, Travis is going to talk about. And then I think obviously we want to focus on what we're potentially going forward with CPA. Well, we're working with the CPC committee right now on a possible project to bring to the annual town meeting this spring.
yeah. That's a really good point. Yeah. So historically, I think we're in year 2 or year 3. The commission and Tim and the DPW deserve a lot of this credit. They actually came up with a maintenance plan through capital. So that 25,000 you see every year is an annual ask, and I think this will be a year 3 of getting it. It really enables us to try to take care of fields. Unfortunately, through COVID, the cost of the playground maintenance in general, between just miscellaneous repairs for swings and slide parts and stuff like that, has gone, some cases, more than double where they were pre-COVID. So that's really enabled us to maintain and fields at a really good level. To Kristen's point, we're on a regular field resting plan, which is great. This past year, I think it was the spring, we did one of the fields at Choate. We did a rest for a season, and where we did Calander this fall, and we might actually look at Calander again in the spring for a rest. So we're working really well with DPW. They've done an awesome job maintaining and trying to execute some of our resting plans to take care of the field. So that 25,000 that you see annually is something we would love to build that in every year for capital. Is just keep making sure the fields are in good shape. It's for irrigation, fertilization, aerating, the whole kit and caboodle for the many fields that we maintain with DPW. Any questions so far?
Nope.
All right.
Fair enough.
So what we'll do is,
Steve, do you have a question?
Yeah, sorry, trying to find the mute button. The 25,000 per year, would we increase that for throughout the years, or just keep it at a flat 25?
This is to Kristen's initial point, and again, Kristen, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. So historically, they've identified fields they want to invest in, and then they invested them through capital every couple of years. It could be Calander one year, it could be DePetrie. This 25,000, I think, is the 3rd year we've done it, and it's always been 25,000. It's been level that way. And it allows us to work with DPW to identify fields that we might have to switch and do resting for this field based off of use, wear and tear. But usually we would like to have like 2/3 of it allocated working with DPW to try to rest and maintain fields. So that's something we're kind of evolving a little bit with DPW, but we do have a tentative plan every year to use 2/3 of that money on fields, if that makes sense.
Annually, not knowing what could happen with the economy, of course, when we're getting ready for capital planning, we're re-reviewing those dollar amounts to make sure it's still enough. Or, who knows, maybe in the future we'll go down. Doubtful, but we do re-review those.
And it's really a nice fun to have. I think this past year alone, we had a slide part break at 21 Highland South Union Playground. And that was just a small slide part, and it was a little over $2,000. We were able to fix the Woodward basketball hoops. Some of the stanchions had broke, and these are just things that come up through wear and tear that you don't plan for, that just kind of happen, that you're able to have some money to fix those maintenance items, which is really nice to have with DPW and park maintenance as well.
And before we get into the specific projects, because this concept's important, and I mean, you're capital, so you probably have a good grasp on this, but not a lot of people do on our revolving fund. So, in terms of beyond the capital, we also funds that are received through recreational programs go into a revolving fund, which then is in turn used to fund those programs, equipment needed for those programs. They can be used on facilities that where recreation programs occur. So when we can, we're using the revolving fund, you're not going to see that reflected in the capital plan. But that concept of the revolving fund is one that some people in town don't quite get. So I think it's just important to understand its existence. Again, high level, and Travis, you correct me, but again, if it's coming in from a recreational program like RAP, then we can spend it on those programs or whatever facilities we're housing those programs on. But there's guidelines. We can't just use that money for anything. And that's relevant, again, when we talk about the project that we're pursuing this year, where we are using, trying, in good faith to use revolving funds where we can.
Yeah, perfect.
Is that a bylaw written by the town, or is that a state law?
For the revolving fund?
Yeah, where we use funds that are pulled in by other sources, or pulled in, they have to be used at that location. You guys can't jump them into your general budget, or?
So I think we have a 53.5, which is the revolving fund that we have. It's one that allows us to roll over. We can't roll over program fees that we make in through a revolving fund. So I think if you do use that, I think you can justify in most cases if you were to use that area for like a recreational program, you would be able to use revolving fund dollars for that. Not something you want to get in practice of, because that would deplete, like I said, park maintenance and costs tend to be not a cheap endeavor. So that would deplete your revolving fund. So I think trying to invest in programs and special events like Heritage Day or Summer Nights tend to be where you want to allocate some of those revolving funds, not park or playground equipment, if that makes sense.
It does.
Mm-hmm.
Thank
Does anybody have any questions on just the park maintenance fund? And the only other one that is not related to Fayetteville, before I think Jason might have to recuse himself, is the backstop net for 9/11 field. 9/11 is a DCR owned field. We lease that field from DCR every year, but we do have a 11v11 and turf field, 11v11 soccer field and lacrosse field that is obviously very heavily used in the spring and fall. But one of the things we've been having some conversations with soccer and lacrosse with is, unfortunately, the net is both end lines, but the parking lot on one side and a wooded area on the other side. So there's no backstop net. So if you've ever been to college facilities or high school facilities, you'll see those 10-foot or 15-foot long nets that run along the end lines, just to prevent errant balls going into the parking lot. So we've had some really good conversations with youth soccer and youth lacrosse, and one of the things that they had asked for was a possible net at the end line to prevent those balls from going in parking lot woods, kids having to chase them down. Obviously, I don't think DCR wants people rummaging through woodlands and whatnot as well. So we actually were able to get an estimate for the install of a semi-permanent post, and we've got approval from DCR to do this as well, giving that release in the land to install the system there. And the estimate that the estimate we got was $22,260. And after reviewing the 9/11, and again, we do have a revolving fund for 9/11 field. The revenue that we make through charging youth organizations and both in town and out of town users for the field, we feel that we could actually contribute half of this project using that revolving fund for that. So that'll be a significant improvement to the area, and we're actually going to be able to contribute half of that using that fund. So the only thing we're going to come to capital for, and I apologize, that's all the way to the right, is 50% split between capital and 9/11. So that actually will be $11,130 from capital and $11,130 from our revolving fund that will support that project. Kristen, does that make?
Yeah.
Does that sound good?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to turn it to Mike then, so you can all freely talk about the other two projects, and then I'll come back when you're all done. So Mike, I'll have you run it from here.
Okay, thank you. All right, so want to lead the way, Travis, on going through these other projects?
You got it. There's only really the big one that Jason is referring to is the Fayetteville one. And Kristen, feel free to jump in wherever if I get a fact wrong here. We originally were looking at evaluating our capital plan in September, right after we submit this plan. And with Neary being a little bit of an unknown, we were potentially going to look at maybe investing in those grass fields near Neary. And with the school being a little bit of a known right now, we started evaluating the projects that we have coming down the pipeline. And Fayetteville was actually one that came up that has no attachment to school or facility, that we thought we have a 2 or 3 year window where we could actually make a pretty significant upgrade to a park that is definitely one of the premier parks in, I think, Southborough as far as view and usage goes, is Fayetteville. So right now, if you've been to Fayetteville in Southborough, I think everybody kind of has. It has a pavilion, which we use for birthday parties. We rent it for residents for free for birthday parties. It has a very nice playground. It has a ball field. And we had some really good conversations with youth baseball. We do some rec programming, youth baseball and softball. We do some rec programming at that field too on Saturday mornings about maybe changing that field to a possible spray pad and dog park. I know it's a pretty significant change, and I can show you if you just give me 1 minute. Kristen, is there anything else you want to add?
Yeah, while you're pulling it up, we didn't pick these two projects kind of out of thin air. On
Yes.
the town plan, and brought up in multiple surveys through the years, two things consistently come up. People really want a pool. It's not really viable for a lot of reasons we can go into if you want to tonight, but some sort of water not attraction, that's not the right word, but people really want a pool. Pool's not happening anytime in the near future. There's a huge amount of work and costs and considerations and property. And available property is what also brings us to the dog park. People may not recall, but we did get funding approved to look at Lundblad Field. So Lundblad is where the old dump, what's the word, Travis, I'm looking for? I can't think of it.
Landfill.
Landfill,
Yeah.
thank you. Right in front of Neary. A lot of people actually don't notice it's there, but when you're driving down Parkerville towards Neary or Trotter with it on your left, if that where that little inlet is that you can pull into, there's a that's a large piece of property if you go up there. So years ago, we got money to figure out if we could fix the field there. It's been a long journey. Then we went to town meeting and we could not build a field there. So then the membrane was a concern. So then we got money to instead look at Discovery for a dog park. Long story short, it's not going to work on the landfill. And I'll give credit to the former chair, Jen Hansen and Don Dumont. He couldn't be with us tonight. He's kind of our finance guy. And Travis and Tim, they've exhausted looking at where we could put a dog park in this town. Unless somebody gives us land or a developer decides to contribute land, that was a question mark for a while. And some of those properties on Route 9, we have very few options. And that's one item that consistently comes up from the residents as to something they want. So this came up and we were pleasantly surprised that we could actually fit one in there. And I think it was surprising to all of us, but that's what Travis is going to share for you now, what that looks like at Fayetteville.
Thank you, Kristen. Can everybody see that?
No, we can't. We can only see
Yeah.
download history.
Kristen,
I hope there's nothing incriminating.
No, it's just your download history.
I'm just teasing.
Was the reason why you can't use Lundblad for a dog park the same? It was just the membrane issue, or is that a separate like evaluation or?
It's in Travis. I can't remember all the history off the top of my head, but it did come down to a large concern about that, right?
Yeah, it was. There was some paperwork issue with DEP that we couldn't get over. That went back to when the actual landfill was put in. It's obviously the landfill's tested every year. It's working fine.
Yeah.
But standards, obviously, when they did it in the early '90s, are vastly different than where they are now. Actually, I think one of the liners that they put in is a clay liner, which wouldn't been a option currently. This is again through Bill, our DPW director. And there was never a post-use permit application pulled, and it's fine now. We have an agreement with DEP, but in order for us to have a change of use from a grass field to a dog park, we would have to pull a post-use permit, which we don't have all the paperwork to do. So that location became not viable to
And
do
I
it.
think it was a little bit of and correct me if I'm wrong, Travis, but Pandora's box too, right? Like once you start messing with the liner and going down, you know what I mean? Like it might end up being a tremendously larger project than we want or anticipated. So we'll keep it as practice fields.
Yeah, in order to do it, we'd have to bore into it and we'd have to test it. And obviously, you're puncturing a landfill by boring into it, which would have cost a pretty significant amount of capital dollars to do. And then that's when that project really became not a viable option. But the good news through that project, can you guys see that?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right,
So
cool.
Kristen's blocking part of it.
Hold
Can I
on.
move myself?
Oh, now I am.
I'm my IT. There we go. How's that?
Good.
Good.
So Kristen brought up a really good point. Part of the good thing about that project is actually we surveyed, to the commission's credit and Jen's credit and Tim's credit, our prior director, surveyed over 100 residents, all of which wanted a dog park. So we were able to use that data by going through that project to try to sculpt this project a little bit. To Kristen's original point, the open space and recreation plan, which we did in 2017, there was a survey portion of that, and I think over 40 residents referenced water, pool, which obviously, to Kristen's point too, it's not a viable option. The spray pad was a really unique one that offered residents a water option at a playground, and obviously is still a water element, and hopefully that'll keep. I hope would make a lot of people happy. What you see before you is the basketball court still there. It actually includes a walking trail around the perimeter of the basketball court, spray pad, and dog park. One is the dog park on the left. It's fenced in. Two is the spray pad, and three is like a picnic area. And the walking track is around, so seniors would be able to use it. The town actually did a 2021, I think, ADA accessibility study, and they included this property. And one of the things that was included was it was not a super accessible park. Not all of it was accessible. And by doing this, you make the entire park accessible, ADA accessible, which is fantastic. And it hopefully would highlight one of the more prettier parks in Southborough, I think. I know this is a lot to take in and we're throwing a lot at you. But this is a CPA project. We're not coming to Capitol for anything. We wanted to make sure Capitol was aware. And we want to make sure both sides are obviously aware that this project's happening.
Wait, so in the budget, in the spreadsheet I'm looking at, it has $1,000,007, 1.072 million for this. But CPA is covering the entire,
Correct.
Okay.
That's my apology. The capital report capital study plan that you see before you is not broken up into CPA. If you go to the far right, which I'm sure Jason will share it too, it has the breakdown of where it's coming from. We're just looking at it from a recreation standpoint, that this is our capital plan moving forward, if that makes sense.
And it's worth noting, we're also still working. We're working with you and working with CPC in tandem, right? Because we're not even sure right now what funding is going to be available yet through the CPA funds. So we're working with them getting the application up to speed, or up to snuff, and then later this month, we're meeting with them again. But, it all comes down to how much funding ends up being available. There's 2 other projects
Yeah.
requesting funding this year for CPA. So we're not, we'll have
Okay,
to
so-
see what unfolds in the next couple of months.
So we don't know yet, like what the balance, what the split would be there. It's I saw eligible, and I assume, yeah.
Yeah, that's my apology, Kristen. That's a great point. Yeah, we've only had one meeting with CPC. We don't know where that's going to land.
Okay.
They very well could turn it down, and we could take that right off the docket.
Okay.
All things point to it being very eligible. So far, nothing, as far as what you can use CPA funds for. Travis has done a lot of work on the splash park. We already had done the work with the dog park, so we very much know, like, fairly certain we're falling within the guidelines. But then again, it comes down to the financials.
Okay. What is like have you, I mean, assuming there's some analysis of like what's lost by not having that available for like baseball or, whatever that other portion is used for today.
Yeah, we've had some pretty good conversations with the prior president for youth baseball and softball. So we issue them blanket permits for that field, youth baseball and softball. The recreation department issues them blanket permits for that field for practices and games and whatnot. As far as use go, I think it's definitely pretty low on the field use for what they use it for. Oddly enough, we did an athletic facility study in 2017, and that identified the T-ball field that's at Finn. That is not in super good shape, the one by the school, closest to the school, investing in that field. And we can actually probably use the field, the park $25,000 funds as maybe making some allocation to try to make that field playable and having more centralized facilities for youth baseball and softball. So you would basically move Fayetteville T-ball, which is what I think youth baseball and softball use Fayetteville for, and then try to move that to Finn to have more centralized games, locations, fields. So we've had some conversation with the youth baseball and softball, and they seem open to that idea.
Okay.
That makes sense. Steve, you had your hand raised?
Yeah, sorry.
No, no worries. It was good conversation. The one question I had was, is there anything that is going to trigger like, with a splash pad? Are you going to have to put like a bathroom in, or like a sort of, you won't need
No,
to?
we don't have to. We have 2 porta potties down there now. One is I think it's 2 or either 2 or 1. And we can still have those porta potties down there, and that'd be fine.
Okay.
Maybe down the line, depending on the popularity, we can look at some more semi-permanent options. But right now, the porta potties would work a-okay.
Terrific.
And the walking trails, I mean, I don't know if you guys, you probably do know this, but as far as senior citizens go, we like this project a lot because it has something for everybody. And I guess, Travis, we should touch on the main concern one of the main concerns I think we heard about having a splash pad and dog park right next to each other. So we've done a lot of research on that. But keep in mind, for our senior citizens, besides the track, which in the winter we can't shovel the track, right? Like we got to maintain the surface. Then there's also the cemetery is the only other flat surface for senior citizens to walk on, which, it'd be nice to give them another flat surface, and that's what this would represent. So we really like this something for everyone kind of nature of this project, where so many people don't use our sports fields. This gives something to the larger community.
That's a really good point. Yeah, I think we looked it up, and I did get that math back. It was 0.17 of a mile. A little under a quarter of a mile is 1 lap around. So it's I think the goal, and actually it was in the open space and recreation plan we did in 2017, was just looking at your parks every year and evaluating them. We can't invent space for parks. That is out the window. So now it's just evaluating what you have, and now you're turning a T-ball field into an amenity that can be used by a lot of different groups, and is very much multi-purpose, and a lot of people can get out of it, which is great. And I think that is really you're really maximizing the park as much as you possibly can by doing this, which is a really fun thing to be a part of.
Okay.
And then just to highlight before questions, I think one of the main things we've gotten feedback on, that the CPC received feedback from people on, was the proximity of a splash pad next to a dog park, and kids may be afraid of dogs, or a dog may unintentionally be aggressive. So Travis, I'll let you talk about the options, but also you did research, and these do exist in other communities, so it's not unheard of. But, you know, talking through some of the options that we can employ to make sure that that's not a problem.
Yeah, it's good. It's very good. Very good point. Yeah, the gate, we're going to move the gate to the other side. So it's not next to the spray pad. And to Kristen's point too, we actually, by doing this, we went through a handful of other parks. I think Chelsea one had a Pelagonia park. I'm probably butchering that, but they had a park with a splash pad and a dog park just abutting each other. Watertown, I know, has a park that has a spray park and a spray pad, I should say, and a dog park in the same vicinity. So it's not uncommon. And there's things that you can do between landscaping, fencing, that really separate the two. I've seen windscreen fences, like those mesh fences that you put on the liner that goes across the fence to really make more of a barrier. So there are alternatives that I really think you can have both of these amenities at that park that makes it safe, so everybody can use it.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's, I mean,
Sorry,
that's,
Travis, go on.
that's the Fayetteville. I mean, that is, and that, to Kristen's point, we were looking, that was a little bit further down the line. And when we took the Neary Field investment off the table because we don't know what's happening at that school, we really have a 2 or 3 year window where we can't do anything with Neary with those grass fields that we thought, let's try to maybe jump on and get in with CPC for this Fayetteville project. And we used their open space and recreation plan, the Stanton Foundation information to try to deliver on a park amenity.
Any other questions on the table? I just had one, but I think this is more for Jason when he gets back on, is that I see in the submission form that there was some referenced documents, but did you send over the full detailed plan overview or the project scope and analysis of where you got to that full breakdown?
For the Fayetteville project or just the capital plan in general?
Fayetteville project, the whole holistic, where you had the breakdown, where the layout, all the pieces that need to go into it.
I just sent him the capital plan, but if I can definitely send you that. We have that within the CPA application, and I can just pull that out and send it to you guys tomorrow if you want.
Please, as an action item, can you please send that to us? Further breakdown, just to understand where the costs really are associated with, and then I think a question is that any background? I know that you had interviewed a couple of individuals, or you talked to 100 within the town. They were open to dog parks. Any information of where the town has provided feedback and endorsed these ideas would go a long way, so that when we're going to back this, at least that we have substantial evidence that's coming from the town would be helpful.
100%. And like I said, it was the Stanton Foundation survey that they did for Lundblad, or Tim did, was over 100 residents. And that was done as soon as, Kristen, I think it was 2023, 24.
Yeah, and then the town's master plan also has references to dog parks as well. And then another one where we can go back and probably get you some historical references is we did have to go, when we realized we weren't going to use Lundblad for an athletic field, we needed to get town meeting permission to repurpose the funds we had gotten for that discovery to look into the dog park. And I think it was on consent agenda. I can't recall. We'll have to go back and look, but it was overwhelmingly supported.
That's awesome. It would be great just to be able to confirm it on paper.
Yep. We
and I
can
think, sorry, and I think we were going to do a fall survey, but with Heritage Day launching it, but with Heritage Day being canceled, obviously due to weather. And I think as we get a little further down the pipeline with CPA, depending on how maybe like the second or third meeting goes and how things develop, I think we could pretty easily do another survey round with the public to figure out how they gauge their input too. And that'd be pretty easy to circulate in our channels from the rec side.
And then the neighbors, of course, in the surrounding area will want to circle back with.
Okay. All right. Any other questions before we bring Jason back? All right.
Nope.
Jason, if you can hear us, if you want to join us, it'd be great.
I assume that we do probably need that that plan document for the meeting documents, but I'll let Jason handle that.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
can do
I
that.
can answer that. Yeah, you just want to get documents over, we can make sure the committee has it so they can form a view once it comes forward to a vote at a future date.
The only other thing I'll throw out there just to like round out the plan is you'll see in the way distance future, we would love to put turf in at Choate or Woodward Fields because our lights are there. And I think everybody probably understands the benefit of turf, especially in our town where we only have one 11 at 9/11 field. But you know, for many obvious reasons, we've pushed that off. So, but that is out there, and that would be the plan someday. But that's a undertaking of itself that we'll have to tackle later on.
Yeah, and I think to Kristen's point too, more field related action items. I think once the dust settles with Neary too, that grass field that abuts the playground, we would really like to invest in that field, whether it's a 11v11 soccer field or the baseball, softball field that's there. We'd really like to try to invest and maximize that field because right now, 9/11 is the only 11v11 soccer field we have in town. Other than that, there's no 11v11 soccer field in town. So that is a very much a viable 11v11 location that we would really like to try to maximize. Could be CPA, it could be capital. So that is one we'd like to try to tackle.
Travis, which one is that? I'm sorry.
So Neary,
Neary,
Neary Elementary School, there's that grass field that is right next to the playground. So right now soccer uses it for like their kinder kicks on Saturday morning.
Right.
Just similar to what we did at DePetrie a few years ago. I think we can invest in that field, and I think it would be a great location for I think middle school soccer could use it for their games. Right now they're going to 9/11. They could use it as a practice location. So I think it could check some boxes.
Okay.
It'll come on future capital plans, right? Not this year, but future. Or you're waiting to hear about Neary.
Those are kind of FY 29 and 30 and beyond. I think we did put a facility study in, like a master plan facility study in for that can kind of wrap in our open space and recreation plan that we did in 2017. Conservation actually just applied for an extension, I think in the fall. So we probably don't even need to do that till 28 or 29. But that would be like an all-encompassing field facility study that we could do in the next year or two. And we would be up for that.
Clear. Thank you, Travis. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Travis and Kristen.
Welcome.
So I guess in terms of next steps for recreation, once we hear from all the departments, which we have a few more to go after you, we'll start to pull this all together and see where we're at and then start to take positions. The only item I'll just add clarification on is just because anything's a CPA project, capital has to take a position on all funding for any capital item, regardless of funding source. So the committee will take a position regardless of, as long as it's on a warrant, we will take a position at some point and are also happy to collaborate at any point on any project that may cut over with CPA.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. Have a great night.
All right. Have a good night. Thank you very much.
Have a good night, guys. Thank you for the time.
Anytime.
Good night.
Chief, is that you as a guest? If so, can you just put your hand up? All right, perfect.
Okay, there we go. Okay, is there a way to get rid of me? Because I'm going to just listen in
I
a
will
little bit.
I will move you to panelist once I move Chief over.
Thank you. Bye, guys. I don't know why my daughter's name is showing up. I just recognized that.
Good evening, Chief.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Thanks for hanging in there. But I think we're right on time for what I told you. So
Yeah, not a problem. It's
yeah.
been it's a busy night in Southborough. The guys are at a fourth alarm building fire in Milford right now, and we also went to a reported fire in Westborough, and I think 2 medicals. So it's been a night.
All right. Well, let us know if you need to leave at any point, but hopefully we'll make your night quick and get you back to work.
Sounds good.
So, in terms of how we've been typically running this, I know this is, I guess, your second year going through this with us for a full budget cycle. We have received your capital plan. I know it's lighter than we've seen with your predecessors, just given some of the new apparatus that's now officially in your garage bays. But just wanted to give you an opportunity to update the committee on any capital projects you have underway, or looking ahead in terms of your capital plan, in terms of things that are a big focus for you, with a priority of the items that you're contemplating and have submitted for the next 2 fiscal years, and anything you want us to be aware of with the remaining 8 years.
Okay, great. Is there a place you'd like me to start? You want to start in the next 2 fiscal years, or kind of like the 10-year approach?
Let's focus on the next 2 years first, and then move beyond that.
Okay, very good. So this year, I believe what you have for submittals in front of you for FY 27 should be 40,000 for personal protective equipment, 80,000 for a new command/fire prevention vehicle. And then we had I included in the capital plan a light refurb for our brush truck. To start with the gear. So last year, you guys were able to fund 40,000 for personal protective equipment. We upped it from some years past. If you guys have watched the news and a lot of the focus on PFAS in, pretty much our everyday lives, they found our structural firefighting gear has high concentrations in it in the outer shells. And PFAS is, they find it more apt to leach out of the gear during high heat environments, which is exactly what we're putting the gear in. So this request would be to buy some more PFAS-free gear, and it would bring our entire department into PFAS-free gear for their primary set of structural turnout gear. We'd maintain the older stuff until its life expectancy was up, but at least the stuff that the firefighters are operating in on a daily basis would be considered PFAS-free. So questions on that item in particular? No? Okay. Next item, the fire prevention vehicle, car 27. It's currently a 2017 Ford Expedition. It served us well as an emergency vehicle, but it's been on the capital replacement plan. I believe I sent in a couple different options we could go. I know in years past there was some focus on EVs, and we could consider an EV in the form of a Ford Lightning, where it could still sub in as a command vehicle for myself or the deputy should one of our vehicles be down for service, but also be able to be well suited for fire prevention. We could also go the non-EV route and go, more standard pickup, gasoline pickup truck. One thing to note on this is what at least I'm hoping to do, and I had some conversations with John Parent. The vehicle, the facilities he's using is an old fire car. It's a 2013 Explorer. He's trying to work with green community standards in the possibility of replacing that vehicle with our current fire prevention vehicle, should this project be approved. It's not solidified with green community yet, but should it get solidified and approved through the green community standards, we wouldn't be replacing a 2017, but we would be replacing a 2013 vehicle from the overall town fleet, not necessarily the fire department fleet. Any specific questions on that? No. And the last thing for this year, I don't believe I submitted a sheet for it, but I sent an email including the capital plan, is a light refurbishment for our squad truck, the brush truck. So that brush truck's 10 years old. It's on the capital plan for to be replaced at 15 years. Myself and the mechanic evaluated the truck, and it's still in decent shape. I think we could extend the life to for another 10 years. So instead of replacing it at 5, replace it at instead of replacing it 15 years, look at replacing it 20 years. But with that, trying to put a little bit of money into the truck now. It's a Ford diesel. It's one of the earlier generations of the DEF diesel exhaust fluid regeneration. They just come in with inherent problems, and it's just kind of getting to the time in the truck's lifespan. It's not necessarily miles, it's idle hours that stuff can just kind of sneak up on us. So what we'd be looking to do is is do some minor paint correction, letter with the current lettering of the fleet, but then also mainly service the diesel exhaust system. So pretty much replace all the serviceable items on that, the exhaust filter, do tires, brakes, pretty much try to go through the mechanicals of the truck and extend its life out another 10 years from now. When I originally submitted that number on the plan of 125, that was figuring it might need a full paint job, but after we evaluated it, I don't think it needs that. It needs just some more minor paint correction. So, I think we could do what we needed to do for 60,000. Like I said, just extend the life of that truck. Questions on that?
I do have a question on this one. You said that inherently there's some problems with this vehicle. So Chief, would you say we're throwing good money at bad money if we were?
No, it's so the vehicle's good. So not inherent problems with this vehicle. It's I should have I probably misspoke. Inherent problems with this generation of vehicle. It's just it's the technology in the exhaust regeneration for emissions. We've been lucky and it's been okay, but it's one bad day away from all of a sudden needing a $10,000+ repair just to redo the exhaust system, the diesel exhaust system. The EPA every so many years puts greater and greater restrictions on diesel engines. In 2014, 15 was one of the first years the vehicles started needing diesel exhaust fluid, which is it's a whole different system added onto the truck. In 27, it's actually getting redone again, and it's going to be even more complicated. So the truck's been good to us. We want to try to keep it that way. And like I said, just try to service those emission systems that can be expensive, that can kind of sneak up on us and cause some damage to our regular maintenance budget.
I don't want to assume a brush fire truck, but that's standing out for if there's a field fire. Something's brush fire truck. What's the specifics around this, just so I understand?
For the truck itself, so the truck is our primary defense for any sort of forest fire. I know, you think Southborough, you think forest fire, you think California, right? So, crazy wildfires. Last fall, I think proved otherwise in Massachusetts. Massachusetts actually has one of the higher percentage of acreage burned in the country, and compared to overall land mass, just because our state is so small, where homes get tightly where everything's so densely built. A small brush fire in the woods can quickly creep up on homes, and something that could otherwise be put out in minutes could take hours or days. And that's what we saw last fall throughout the state. Our crews were operating in Salem, and they were sent all over the place. We had a few small brush fires in Southborough, but fortunately we were able to take care of them due to having a truck like this. It's small apparatus, we're able to get right behind somebody's house, kind of get close to the seat of the fire and quickly extinguish it. Compared to our regular structural trucks, they're stuck to the pavement, and we might need to go a couple hundred feet to even get to an operational, a place where we can operate.
You hit the nail on the head. Was my last question for you. Is
I'm
like,
sorry, say again?
You hit the nail right on the head. Is my
Oh.
last question for you is how often do things like this happen, especially in our town? And safety is the number one thing that we really all need to take in consideration. So what I was trying to do is not push anything out. If anything, was do we need to pull something in ultimately to get a better vehicle so that we make sure that the town doesn't burn down?
Yeah, no, I think we're in good shape with this vehicle. And actually, this year we're also awarded a assistance to firefighter grant through the FEMA, and we're going to upfit our pickup truck to have a skid pack in it as well. So we'll have. I'm a fan of dual redundancy. Should the brush truck be out of town at a fire or out of service mechanical, we have a plan B and a backup plan. So we're in good shape with that. Last year in Southborough, we probably saw 3, maybe 4, brush fires of, somewhat significance where we needed to put these trucks into operation. One burned somebody's shed down and another, down the railroad track. So it happens. It happens in town. Sometimes it's quiet. We handle it and, it doesn't quite hit the news. But, we see 3 to 4 of these fires a year.
Is this the type of truck you put into service when you're pressed with some of the other ones, or is this really just for that sort of fire?
So this truck isn't typically staffed. It's in the station, not with a crew assigned to it. If we get the call for a brush fire, typically the ambulance crew will slide over to that, respond to that, while the duty officer takes our full-size pumper to the scene. And so that way we have our full-size pumper, which can be a water supply, and this truck, which can be an attack truck, and kind of, like I said, sneak into a
Gotcha.
neighborhood behind somebody's house or, through a car path into the woods.
Gotcha.
Other questions on this? No? Okay.
No.
And like I said, and the truck that they spec'd out back in 2015, it's made by a company called Fire One, small, it was a small shop in Uxbridge, I believe, and he built a real high quality product. I wouldn't be having this conversation about a light refurb if the truck wasn't built to such a high standard, as far as the body construction itself. So, we do have a quality truck. It's just, make it a 15-year truck, a 20-year truck, just something to consider, putting a little bit of money in now, as opposed to replace this truck new today would be about $350,000. All right. If no more, I believe that's all I had for FY27, unless you had something that I'm missing, and I can move on to 28.
Go ahead.
Okay, so FY28, I'll just kind of go through the items quick that I had on my list. EM1 is our command unit for 28,000. The hazmat trailer for 15,000, which carries an abundance of speedy drying for any hazardous material releases we can mitigate. A lighting tower for 11,000. And then there's also down towards the bottom, thermal imager cameras for 30,000 and hose for 40,000. To start at the top, we're still, I have our communication specialist kind of looking into the EM1, our mobile command unit. It's used probably 3 or 4 times a year at planned events, but it's also available for unplanned events. Should there be an incident so we actually have a tabletop in a couple weeks to talk about some emergency plans between us, police, and the schools. And this is going to be an asset for, for any potential emergency anywhere in town. It's a trailer with some desks, workstations, and multiple forms of communication, different radio setups. We can put a modem in it to get internet connectivity. Pretty much a mobile workspace, should we have a major incident somewhere in town. What I'm looking to do is we also have the hazmat trailer for 15,000. I think the hazmat trailer, if our maintenance budget is looking good at the end of the year, we might be able to put a little bit of money into the hazmat trailer and push that, considerably out, and maybe reallocate that hazmat trailer money towards EM1, just to be able to, just make the command unit a little bit more robust. I guess more on that next year, but it's something we're trying to research now. The light tower for 11,000, that's accurate to today's money. If we were to buy one today, the lighting unit that would be replaced is about 20 years old. It's serviceable. It's just it's 20 years old. It has I looked at it a couple weeks ago. I already forget. I think I want to say it had like 5,000 hours on it. It had a considerable amount of time. From what I understand, I believe the town might have got it used at one point. However many years ago. So it wasn't new to us to begin with. Those are used pretty frequently. They're used at summer nights. You'll see them at the town meetings. You might have seen the 2 big light towers set up at this last fall town meeting. Those are those lighting units. And let's see. Thermal imager cameras for 30,000. I'm gonna keep writing grants for those. There's 2 more grant cycles coming up, and I'd like to try to take a stab at a couple more grants before we solidify anything on that. And then the last is hose. So we have multiple different sizes of hose. It's split into 2 main groups. We call it attack hose and supply hose. So attack hose is what we'll be going into a burning building with to put out a fire. Supply hose typically supplies the fire truck. We're seeing greater failure rates of our supply hose during our annual testing. And every year we end up losing a couple hundred feet. It's about 10 years old, so it's reaching the end of its service life. With the ladder truck, we're able to put new hose on that, but the other trucks still have a 10+ year hose on it. And we're just starting to see more and more failures on it. So, not this FY, because I would like to take, again, something like that. I wrote an assistance to firefighter grant on that to try to get funded for this year. I would like to take one more go at that to see if that's potentially successful before I come back to you to ask for solid funding one way or another. On the 10-year plan, you'll see firefighting gear listed again for a few years out. If we're awarded this year, I think we could probably take a year or 2 off of funding that item. So I had that highlighted in blue just for that reason. Questions on the FY28 items?
Seeing any?
Okay.
That's right.
So on the do you have the I can pull up my screen. Do you have the plan and do you have the 10-year plan in front? Does everybody have it in front of them, or do you want me to pull it up on the screen?
I've got it in front of me.
Everyone got in front? Just holler if anyone wants me. Everyone good?
Okay.
All right.
So to just look out further, further 10 years, just some stuff that, I'm still trying to, as your new chief, trying to wrap my heads around a little bit more. There's a few items, so like the top one, the 60 kW generator. I got to talk to MEMA on that. I believe that was Homeland Security funded and may not be our responsibility, but still more on that to come. Ambulance power load stretchers, that's in 33. Typically, in my experience, we usually purchase those with the ambulances. We just make sure a new ambulance is funded appropriately, and we're able to buy that with the ambulance, and it's good for the life of the truck. So, that's something we might be able to see drop off. Further down the list, Lucas devices. Those are automated CPR devices. They've been a game changer in EMS. Before, you you'd be riding in the back of the ambulance, somebody driving 100 miles an hour to the hospital trying to do CPR on somebody, and quite unsafe for the responder. So this allows the responder to be seated in their seatbelts while we're driving to the hospital and CPR is being performed to the patient. But again, that's something in my experience we typically buy with the ambulance, and it's good for the life of the ambulance. So might be something we're able to see drop off the list. Portable radios for SEMA for 15,000 and 29. We're still trying to define SEMA's mission and try to figure out what their true need is. So we might not be needing that. And 900,000 for dispatch and emergency radio equipment. With the regional dispatch center underway, that's also up in the air. I don't want to say yes, definitely take it off the list, but the way it's looking right now, hopefully that wouldn't be needed. That's the 10 years, at least in a nutshell, of items that, I kind of saw that, we should at least discuss. Otherwise, the next large item would be an ambulance. We have a new ambulance coming in this time next year. The next one would be replace the one we got a couple of years ago. That's not slated to order until 2029, and it's only so quick because in current times, an ambulance is 2+ years to get. An ambulance used to be able to order and have within 12 months, and now we're looking 24+ months to get a truck in. So that's why you just see that so quick. Should lead times become a lot quicker and more stable, that's certainly something we can discuss next year, the year after. The squad truck for 600,000. Again, if a light refurbishment is funded, that could get pushed out to 2025, 2035, 2036. And then the other major one would be Engine 23, which that's slated on 2031 at just its 15-year replacement cycle. And the goal with that would be to do similar like we did with the ladder truck and try to find some sort of demo unit or a unit kind of already in production, so we can capitalize on delivery times and price. Any questions on the overall 10-year outlook?
No, this is to the point.
Okay.
That was a very nice presentation.
Yeah.
Well, I hope I didn't have anything fancy on the screen for you, but I try to be to the point and just try to look at our true needs and my history, we've been knocking wood, we've been pretty successful with grants and try to continue that to help lessen the burden on some of these items.
All right. Any
Cool.
final questions for the chief?
Thorough, quick, concise. Thank you.
Yeah. This is very helpful. I don't have any questions. I appreciate it.
All right, Chief. So I think you heard me tell Recreation the same thing, but I'll just say it here. Obviously, we have to hear from some more department heads. We still haven't heard from DPW and police. Once we hear from them, we'll kind of have a better picture and be able to kind of see where it fits in the overall town budget situation. And then as we start to get closer to making some decisions and in prioritization, we may have you come back, but we won't take any votes, especially for a month or two at this point. So we'll let you know if anyone needs more information, and just would encourage any member that is not familiar with some of this equipment or has questions as you start to hear more to reach out to the chief and get whatever information you need to make an informed decision when we get to that point.
Great, thanks. And absolutely. And any of you are welcome to the station anytime if you want to look at any of the equipment in person. I'd happy be to walk through it with you. And, if I end up coming back on again, if there's any overly specific questions, I'd be happy to get into much more detailed presentation on any individual item. So I appreciate everybody's time tonight.
Cool.
All right. Thanks, Chief.
Thank you so
Great.
much.
Have a good night.
You too. All right. We are near the end. Is there any public comment? I'm seeing none. Any other business for tonight? All right. I will make a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion's made and seconded. Roll call vote. Mike N.
Approve or yay.
Mike Ski.
Aye.
Tony.
Aye.
Steve.
Aye.
And I am I as well. Hope everyone has a great night.
You too.
All right. See ya.